Here's a paradox for you. A bad experience can actually make us happier than an experience that meets our expectations. What? It's true. And that's what we're going to be covering on today's episode of The Loyalty Loop. We are going to uncover why this paradox is true, why meeting or exceeding your customers' expectations just doesn't work, and we're going to talk about what to do about it from right here on the Caribbean island of Nevis. Bad experiences can actually make us happy, but in order to make my case, we've got to start at the same place. We need to understand two things. The first thing we need to agree on is that an experience is an event or occurrence that leaves an impression or not. And two, experiences create opportunities for deeper and longer social interactions. Here, think of it this way. If I tell you I bought a new pair of shoes this weekend, how deep or long is that conversation? It's not very deep or very long. It's like, okay, cool. However, if I tell you all about the awesome hike I took this morning in my brand new pair of shoes all the way around the island of Nevis, and the fact that I saw some monkeys, I saw a bunch of monkeys actually, that's a deeper and longer conversation. Experiences create social bonding capital. It's like a currency you trade in the form of stories. And social bonding capital is what ties us together. It ties your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers, even new acquaintances together. And this is what makes us happy. Social bonding makes us happy. In fact, the more you share a story, the happier you get. Now that we're on the same page, let's go to the bar and do some rum punch PowerPoint. Can I get a rum punch? Yeah, and a napkin? That would be awesome. Thank you. Oh, yes. I ordered this, so I gotta drink it, right? Here's the deal. You can chart any series of experiences on the social capital scale of experiences. So let's do that. Let's chart the experiences, and I'll tell you the tale of two hotels. On the y-axis here, we have the experiences and the impressions you get from those. A positive impression that goes up to a scale of 100, and a negative impression that goes down to a scale of 0. And on this axis here, the x-axis, you have the encounters over time. All right? Over time. From the first encounter to the last encounter. What's important here is that at 0, you have the expectations for the experience. The belief that your encounter will deliver exactly what you wanted. That's your expectations. Let me tell you the tale of the first hotel. You see, we were staying at a different hotel for the first 3 days of our trips here in St. Kitts. And from the very moment we checked into that hotel, the problems started to arise. The impressions we were getting were negative. When you start any experience, you start at 0, the expectation you have. And with each encounter, you can either increase those expectations and leave a positive impression, or you can decrease them over time. And in the first hotel that we checked into in St. Kitts, I'm sorry to say, but they kept dropping our impression of the hotel over time. From the moment we checked into a hotel room that had a view of a barbed wire fence and the stores across the street. Not the view I expected on St. Kitts. We went and tried to change that room, and they could not be bothered to even check if there are any rooms available. They just said no and let us go. Then we tried to go to the pool and get 4 towels, and unfortunately they're only allowed to give out 2 towels, 1 per person, and they said if we wanted more towels we had to go to the front desk, which was a long way away. Anyway, when we did get back to our room, the room was actually pretty dirty, and that really disappointed us. And so the impression slowly went down and down and down. And if you chart this, it looks something like this over time, and that ended up making a negative impression. Now, we were not happy, and I know what you're saying right now, but Drew, I thought you said a bad experience can actually make us happier than an experience that meets our expectations. Well, here's what's amazing. The second night of our stay, we went to the bar, and we ended up sitting at the bar and making friends with 3 people. Now, we made friends with these 3 people because we talked about how bad our experience was. And it all started when one of the wait staff rolled their eyes in front of us to us. You see, we shared that terrible experience, and that in itself makes us happy. Let's go back to our chart. This is what creates a great story. A really terrible experience, and great stories make us happier. Let me point out something important here on the chart. This was our expectations, and if they had met our expectations, there would have been no story. In fact, if they had just been below our expectations, but not a terrible experience, there still would have been no story. Just remember that bad experiences make great stories, and that's what makes us happier. The story, not the experience itself. I know what you're saying, but Drew, what about exceeding expectations? Oh, good point. Well, that's why we need to talk about the hotel number 2. Our experience at the first hotel was so laughable that we decided to actually change hotels halfway through our stay. And so again, our expectations were reset. We're back at a 0. From the instant we arrived at this hotel, they started giving us positive impressions. Like, for example, when we checked in, they asked us to just have a seat, they gave us a fresh drink, and they invited us to just check in while we sat in the lobby. We didn't even have to wait in line. Then they already knew it was my wife's birthday and immediately told her happy birthday. And then they even knew our names. They said, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Davis." They also knew already that I'm allergic to peanuts. And even beyond that, they had a series of cookies there with a customized little message that said, "Happy birthday, Mrs. Davis." And on the little impressions went. You see, they're creating tons of little micro moments, micro encounters. These micro encounters lead up to 100% positive impression of the place, and it is a great experience. They didn't do one thing to ensure that they delivered above our expectations or exceeded our expectations. They did lots of little things that have led up to a massively awesome story. All of those little encounters create a great story. So again, right here, we have a great story. Now, you'll see here something very important in our little chart. This area here is what I call the story void. Just doing one thing to exceed expectations, or just meeting expectations, or even being just barely below expectation does not create a story. No one talks about you. That is why it is more likely that when you have a bad experience, you will socialize and share that experience, like the tale of hotel number 1. In the tale of hotel number 2, the experience is so good, the series of impressions is so great that it's another great story. Don't fall into the story void. So, what is the hotel that creates a great rum punch and an amazingly, unbelievably awesome impression in Nevis? Well, in order to do that, we're going to have to go to the hotel room and show you a book that I found in the hotel. I'm back in my room, and this book, which was sitting here on the coffee table when I checked in, it's called The Art of Hospitality, and it perfectly sums up exactly why this resort understands that a series of small impressions create an amazing loyalty loop experience. Here it is. I'm going to read it to you. It's about moments. The moment a guest enters their room or the lobby for the first time, the moment a server remembers their favorite dessert or personalizes a birthday cake, it's the moments we create that last forever. That is so good. And guess who said it? Christopher Ford, the pastry chef. The pastry chef even understands this. This wasn't written by the general manager. It wasn't written by the executive vice president of customer service or customer experience. It wasn't written by the CEO. Everyone in this organization understands that it's these small things that lead up to a great experience. An experience worth telling a story about. It is no longer enough to meet or exceed consumer expectations. That doesn't mean anything. Great stories come from a series of micro moments that lead up to a positive impression and create a great story. It's all about the social capital your experience creates. What kind of social capital are you creating, and what story does it tell? So what resort is it that understands these micro moments and the value of social capital? It is the Four Seasons in Nevis. And while you watch the sunset over Nevis, I want you to think about the second quote from this book that I want to share with you. Real people come here to feel like celebrities, and celebrities come here to feel like real people. Mark Warren, Guest Relations Assistant Manager. What are you making people feel? I'll see you next time on another episode of The Loyalty Loop from Sydney, Australia. I can't wait to see you there, and I hope you don't miss that episode. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now so you don't miss an episode of The Loyalty Loop every single week, and have a great week.